Hey everybody, welcome to A Late Show. I am still your host, Stephen Colbert. My crew is still one of my children. Tonight it is my son, John. Hello, John.
Hello.
You have to be louder than that. You're not mic'd. You have to.
Hello.
There you go. There you go. John is doing his homework right now. He's in high school, about to graduate. What homework are you doing right now?
I'm reading Beloved by Toni Morrison.
Beloved by Toni Morrison. Is it funny?
Not very.
I haven't read it. I don't know. She could have written a knee slapper. I'm ignorant.
Maybe she did, but
Maybe.
it's not this one.
How many pages are you on?
4.
Page 4. Maybe it's all set up. Maybe there's a punchline coming up on the next page. I hope you had a lovely weekend. Actually, I hope you had a weekend, because that means you can still differentiate the days of the week. I know that one of these past couple of days had to be a Saturday, because I, along with the Jimmies, co-hosted One World Together at Home, which raised $128 million for the WHO and frontline healthcare workers. Thank you, Lady Gaga, and thank you to all the corporations that donated money, like Coca-Cola and Pepsi and Spanx. By the way, if you wear Spanx as a face mask, it's really going to firm up your butt chin. Oh, hey, check your calendars. Today is 4/20. Woo! Finally, an excuse to stay home, sit on the couch, eat snacks, binge watch Netflix, and really get paranoid about your cough. Of course, if you don't smoke marijuana, you still might drink alcohol. Well, the World Health Organization just released their new fact sheet, Alcohol and COVID-19, What You Need to Know. The WHO warns that alcohol compromises the body's immune system and increases the risk of adverse health outcomes. This is true. Even in non-pandemic times, the use of alcohol can cause liver damage, heart disease, Rick and Morty tattoos, and acute cases of, hey, y'all, watch this. And you jump off of something. The fact sheet follows with quarantine guidelines like, when working from home, adhere to your usual workplace rules and do not drink. Well, thank goodness, my usual workplace is super chill. Please, work responsibly. You know who I bet could use a drink right now? The fossil fuel industry. They had a bit of a bizarre day. Oil prices sank to historic lows, at one point reaching negative $40 a barrel. Negative 40 bucks. I think that means when you go to the gas station, you get a free tank and $40 worth of Slim Jims. Now, to save their profits, Texas oil fields are immediately switching over to drilling for toilet paper. So, how do you get to negative oil pricing? Well, because of quarantine, demand for fuels, of course, has plummeted, causing oil supplies to pile up. And now oil producers are paying buyers to take the commodity off their hands over fears that storage capacity could run out. Bad news for the oil folks, but great news for anyone who owns an above-ground pool. Now, we've all been isolating for at least a month. And some of us are starting to go a little kooky in the old squirrel cage, like a handful of idiots who were out this weekend protesting against social distancing. For instance, this man in Washington State carrying the sign, "Give me liberty or give me COVID-19. Buddy, you're in a large crowd, you're not wearing a mask, you're not 6 feet away from people, you might not need to choose. Many of the protesters lamented the loss of their everyday activities, like this woman in Wisconsin with the sign, "I want a haircut." Looks like your sign has a typo. We fixed it for you. It should read, "I want to endanger the lives of your grandparents in exchange for frosted tips." Because I get that this is the land of liberty, but these protesters aren't just putting themselves at risk. The whole reason we are socially distancing in the first place is to prevent the spread of the virus, especially to our older relatives. I mean, there's a reason the Boston Tea Partiers didn't throw Nana in the harbor. Now, if there's one thing this country is unified about, it's social distancing. On Thursday, even Donald Trump encouraged social distancing and the next day tweeted in support of the protests. Liberate Minnesota, liberate Michigan, and liberate Virginia, and save your great Second Amendment. It is under siege. Ah, yes. The Second Amendment is so important right now because if you run out of Lysol, you can just shoot your groceries. To be clear, Trump is encouraging his followers to protest his own recommendations. That's how much he needs to hear a chanting mob. He's like angry Tinkerbell. Quick, kids, scream, lock her up, or I'll die. Trump thinks these protests are justified because people are bored.
I've seen the people, I've seen interviews of the people. These are great people. Look, they want to they call cabin fever. You've heard the term? They've got cabin fever.
Just because you have cabin fever doesn't give you the right to go out and spread fever. And Trump's not the only one egging on the virus huggers. So is Trump advisor and man choking on a peanut, Stephen Moore. Last week, Moore encouraged people to go out and protest in Wisconsin by saying this.
We need to be the Rosa Parks here and protest against these government injustices.
That analogy is the Martin Luther King of dumb. And I want to point out that Moore is encouraging people to go out and risk their health and others on a Zoom call from his living room. Such courage. It's like the climactic scene from Braveheart. They may take our lives, but they will never... Oops, sorry, I'm on mute. Let me know how the battle goes. I'll be on Slack. Trump said a lot of other dumb stuff at his daily screamers this weekend. For instance, he continued to defend the job he's done on testing. And by defend, I mean lie through his teeth.
You hear so much about testing. What we've done is incredible in testing. And I started with an obsolete, broken system from a previous administration or administrations. I inherited broken junk.
You inherited broken junk? That's a terrible way to talk about your father's penis. Though there are very few good ways. Trump brought up some props to help him out with the testing questions.
I have something here, just happen to have it's a swab. Looks innocent, not very complicated. Anybody like to see what it looks like? Should I open it? Does everybody? Open it up. I will. I will. This is what it's about, right? Does it remind you of something? Reminds you of this, right? One's a swab, one's a Q-tip.
I want to point out that a Q-tip is just a brand name of swab. It's the same thing.
It's actually different. It's very sophisticated, actually.
Oh, right. I forgot that the longer something is, the more sophisticated it is. That's why only true sophisticates measure their fruit by the foot. But Trump spent most of the time focused on the real hero, him.
In fact, and I appreciate it very much, the Wall Street Journal wrote a fantastic piece, a highly respected gentleman, Christopher DeMuth, and this piece was just in the Wall Street Journal, weekend edition, and Trump rewrites the book on emergencies. He has vivified the American way in action. Once it was reluctantly aroused. It was hard to get it aroused, and it is hard to get it aroused, but we got it aroused.
Wall Street Journal, please do not associate the words Trump and aroused. Then, a reporter pressed Trump on why he was spending so much time praising himself.
More than 22 million Americans are currently unemployed as a result of this. Today we hit the grim milestone of more than 40,000 Americans now having died from the coronavirus. Can you explain then why you come out here and you are reading clips and showing clips of praise for you and for your administration? Is this really the time for self-congratulations?
Well, I will tell you this. What I'm doing is I'm standing up for the men and women that have done such an incredible job. Not for me, for the men and women. These people are right now in hospitals. It's dangerous. It's going to a battlefield. And I want these people, I want you. I want you in the... It's all about that. It's not about me. No, nothing's about me.
Look, there's never been a president who makes it less about me than me. Honestly, I don't get enough credit for making this not about me. I should get a medal that says, most about not me. Thanks to this pandemic shutdown, small businesses are suffering more than ever, which is why last month, the Congress and the President signed off on $349 billion in grants known as the Paycheck Protection Program, or PPP. Of course, many of Trump's top advisors have their own paycheck protection program known as DAD. Evidently, the program to save small businesses had a lot in common with small businesses because it ran out of money on Thursday. Okay, so the Paycheck protection program wasn't protected. That's like your condom catching chlamydia. And that's not the only problem. Before the program went bankrupt, thousands of traditional small businesses were unable to get the funding because the money was snatched up by national hotel and restaurant chains like the publicly traded company Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. Come on, Ruth doesn't need that money. She already has her own Chris. He's constantly cooking her steaks. And of course, people got mad at these big businesses who scooped up the cash. So today, one of them gave it back. The burger chain Shake Shack has agreed to return its $10 million government loan, saying the money it received could be reallocated to the independent restaurants who need it most and haven't gotten any assistance. It then gave the independent restaurants a large plastic buzzer and said, when that vibrates, just come to the counter and get your cash. The money also didn't go to the industries and parts of the country that were hardest hit by COVID. For instance, Texas has the 10th largest coronavirus caseload, but still got more PPP loans than any other state, which explains why they've changed their motto from the Lone Star State to just the Lone State. Now, Donald Trump and Nancy Pelosi traded insults all weekend. Pelosi went on the Fox News and let Trump have it.
He's a weak leader. He doesn't take responsibility. He places blame on others. And that might have been okay for before, but we cannot continue down a path that is, again, the president gets an F, a failure on the testing.
Chris Wallace, come on. Why did you invite her on his favorite network? That's like your mom inviting your bully over for tea. Oh, look who it is, honey. It's Ben McCracken. I showed him your underwear drawer so he'll know what to grab at your next wedgie. Pelosi was also on This Week with the George, and he asked her, what about Trump she's most afraid of?
I'm afraid that he's going to act on the basis of what he's acted before. It's a hoax. It's magically going to disappear. He's failed in the testing and the rest, and it's a hoax, and it's going to magically disappear. That's not based on science. This isn't magical.
Oh, really? We'll tell that to our next Secretary of Health and Human Services, Chris Angel. We've got a show for you tonight. I'll be talking to Trevor Noah from The Daily Show, so stick around, because that's when Trevor's going to be here. You know, around later when you're stuck.